Good evening. I know it's super late, and I know I don't come on very often. Um, I did come on live a couple of weeks ago, a week ago maybe. Anyways, so much is going on for so many of us, and it's important to unpack and decipher and understand what is going on with us now today. And I haven't been coming on because the phenomena that I've been going through, I was dealing with some situations that are more local. And so the information that I was getting that I normally would get from above was convoluted and weighty and heavy, and it wasn't good information. So, why would I share information that is not going to be beneficial or that is coming from the realm in which we inhabit, which we can all find that stuff out ourselves, being that if we're a living being, being a living being, we are more powerful than what tonight's topic is on Earthbound Spirits. And let me get to the page where I can see the YouTube. Yeah, on Earthbound Spirits, attachments or possession. And what some symptoms are of having such a phenomena happen to you and being empathic, how this affects you, and um, what could be going on, what dynamic are you facing because of the situation that is in your direct vicinity, um, so you can help them go home, so to speak. Because as you become more empathic, or your light begins to shine more, you stand out more and they're attracted to you. They're attracted to you because you have information, you have something going on in you that draws them to you. Um, I haven't made, like I said, a lot of videos lately because, like I said, I really don't know how to describe what happened. Something happened to me. That normally doesn't my I normally have like dreams and stuff like that in that realm, or travel in the dream realm, but I was awake when something happened. And I talked to a friend of mine the other day, as she kind of helps me unpack certain things, and she said, what is the possibility that when you were taken to that place that they followed you back? Because I felt like I got pummeled, boom, bombarded. So I got quiet because the information that I was getting was not uh, from a higher self or ascended, or because I could feel the difference in it. Not only that, it was so weighty that my emotions were changing and amplified. So let's talk first about earthbound spirits and how an earthbound spirit even comes about to begin with. Um, it looks like, well, it's the middle of the night, so maybe if it's nice and short, somebody will come back and watch it later. An earthbound spirit or ghost could be a loved one that you're holding onto, or somebody that passed in a traumatic way and they got thrown out of their body and they missed that light of going home, or they stayed out of fear, thinking that they're going to face judgment or possibility of hellfire. So what they do is they do not pass to the next level and they stay in the earthly realm. Now, how does this affect the living? Well, we are a constant source of energy. We eat, we move, we go about our being, we can speak, think, and we can interact with this realm. Well, if you're an earthbound spirit, you cannot. So when you see a light come on within somebody that is able to see you or hear you or feel your presence, like empaths can, they'll cling to you because they're wanting assistance or information from you, or they're attracted to you. Now, what happens when you're an empath and you've got an earthbound spirit? Maybe they're depressed. Well, you will feel that emotion intensified within your being. And the reason that I know this and that I can talk about this today is because, like I said, I got pummeled is a way of, you know, expressing what happened and why I took an absence like I did to try to figure out what the heck was going on. I felt different injuries and then they would heal immediately. Different situations, depression, and then um, different type of addictive behaviors, a different type of earthly type emotions. When I say earthly type emotions, I'm talking anger, fear, depression, heavy feeling type of activity going on. And with an earthbound spirit, usually because they haven't crossed over, there's fear. They're afraid of what's going to happen to them next. They're either holding guilt or shame, or it could be from religious upbringing down to a family member. They could be worried about a family member and afraid to leave that family member. So they don't cross over. So they linger about, but then they end up being earthbound, and on an earthbound, of course, it's going to still hold the earthly type emotions and feelings. And we sense it, we feel it. Now, what can happen over time if it happens to be a loved one? I'm going to smoke since there's really not anybody really here. I'm just going to smoke my cigarette. Um, when it's a loved one, I'm going to give an example, because everybody knows I lost my daughter traumatically. Um, let's say she was watching over and I had not let go of her. Over time, what can happen is they get so attached that they attach themselves to your body. The only way that an earthbound spirit can continue on, because they're energy now with no source of recreating energy, they feed off the living. And those that are empathic and their light is on, you draw them to you. And so they're feeding off of you and you're feeling their emotions. So now you're tired and you're feeling, and then you have anxiety. Maybe this earthbound spirit is nervous. And then you're going to feel that in your very being. And that's how I knew something was wrong, because I'm not a down type person. I'm usually pretty high energy. Of course, I had an event happen. Of course, everybody, when you suffer loss, you're going to get sad, but not to this extreme. It was like I felt broken bones and injuries, and then they would heal right up. They actually even showed there was bruising that showed up on me, and then immediately went away. We didn't know what to think of it. And hearing them, I could hear them. Now, was I going to reverberate and share with you guys the messages that I was getting from this type of a situation? No, because these messages were not uplifting. These messages were more directed, like jealousy type, or fear, and things that are not, that was not anything close to what I was getting before I got thrown up in my backyard. And she made a good point when she said, well, do you think there's a possibility that they followed you back when you came back, because the way things went down, something freaking happened? In the meantime, as we're going through our stages, we do have a guardian angel. We do have our higher self, and we do have our connection. That's another thing they're attracted to. They want to hear what we have to say and help them to move over and go into that light where they don't need to feed off of our energy. And this type of a situation, when they come and they are feeding off our energy, we're feeling their emotions. If we're already upset, now we're more upset because we're feeling theirs, and they're sucking our energy. And it's like you'll get up in the morning and you'll just go, oh, I'm exhausted. Or you'll feel dizzy. You'll get dizziness, lightheadedness, deja vu. You may feel like you've lived multiple lifetimes. That a friend of mine said that earlier, and this friend of mine, I've been talking to him for years. Very, very powerful empath, and just by listening to him talk about the different things that he's been through in life, um, it's so obvious to see that he works with the light, and that of course they're attracted to him because he's like showing them how to go home. That's part of what we do to help earthbound spirits to come to peace with things. And then they let go of us, and then the light opens up, and they can, because you're connected, that light will flicker, flicker, and they'll see it, and they'll be drawn to it. Sometimes a family member will come and get them just from listening to us talk. And we know when they go home because we'll feel it. It's like a warm feeling in your heart that you just like, you know that somebody just went, where they belong. They're no longer feeding off of people for their energy source, but they're back where they belong. And it can be as simple is if okay, when I was 15, a lot of you guys know I had an NDE. I was hit by a car in a crosswalk, and I was gone for about 6 days before I have conscious memory of being back here. I have memory of the other side, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. But I didn't go through a tunnel. I didn't. It was nothing like that. I was above. I saw my body. I saw myself laying in the street, and all I did was roll over, and bam, I was in this beautiful place. Everything was emanating unconditional love and vibrating. It was gorgeous. And a being came up and talked to me. And then I decided to come back. And when I made that decision, I didn't even feel any pain from the impact. So imagine how confusing it could be for your being when you're pulled out of your body before the impact even hit and you've passed on, but you didn't feel the impact. So you don't even really know what happened, especially if you can't see your body. That's how I look at it. If you can't see your body, which I was able to, and then I rolled and I was someplace else. If you can't see your body, you don't know what's going on. You're still just standing there and you're just wondering why everybody's ignoring you. You may have just missed your window. Now, what can happen is that whatever they initially caused the death process to happen for them, then they can have reverb residual in their physical body, and then depression or fear, because either they miss the light or, like I said, religion or judgment or other things, unfinished business that they may be trying to tend to, not realizing that they are actually on the other side and need to go back home, back home. So part of what, this process is helping them to lose that fear, walk in forgiveness, and then bring that light, that doorway open, and they pop on through. This kind of works along hand in hand with those who you'd say, some people use witchcraft or things of that nature. When people are using witchcraft, a lot of these earthbound spirits will feel indebted to certain principalities that may be stuck in this lower realm for a long period of time. And they feel like they have to pay off a debt in order to go. So then they follow these type of commands. So one of the things that I've been doing is talking to them and saying, why are you being a servant or slave when you need to put all that down and go home? Because with witchcraft and things like that, we're still dealing with lower forms of like earth-based thought process and emotions. A lot of times when they're doing things like that, it's like, ooh, I want to get back at this person, or I want this job, or I want to, these different type of earthly type situations. And so I got a huge relief when I was just sitting in my room and I was talking about, and for some reason that came through because I do have a good connection, still, even when I was getting pummeled, a good connection with upstairs, even though it was convoluted because all this was going on. Witchcraft came up. And so I just started pondering it and thinking about it. And I'm like, well, I don't want to command you to do anything for me. You owe me nothing. So why are you here? Because one of the things that we will notice when we have our angelics helping and earthbound spirits sent off a different frequency, but we will hear in our ears ringing sound, loud ringing sound. And when the angelics from the other side are around, it's a more harmonious, but it's very, very powerful sound. And we can hear it. But when it's an earthbound spirit, it can almost be. I was annoyed by it. It caused sleep disturbances. Understand this, you guys. We're spirits in a physical body, but the spirit never sleeps. So once they've left their vessel, they don't have the need for sleep. They have the need for energy. And that's where they will come through us and grab the energy they need. And you'll feel that drain, especially if you're empathic. Um, everyday people will walk around and all of a sudden say, excuse me, say, oh, I've got a headache. Where'd you get the headache from? It just came on all of a suddenly. Well, what do you think just happened to them? By being empathic, you're able to see it and sense it and feel it, and it's tangible to you. It's real. Where, to the normal everyday person, they just think, oh, I got a stomach ache. I ate something bad. Or, oh, my back hurts. Oh, I moved wrong. Or they'll wake up and now have a stiff neck and they say, oh, I must have slept wrong. We will make up every excuse in the book for why we have these phantom aches and pains that will come on acutely and they'll leave acutely. So, and it depends on how much time this earthbound spirit spends with us, on how frequent we will have whatever effect or affliction or whatever is wearing or making this earthbound spirit heavy and causing them to stay in a realm where they need to move on because we don't want to be food for them. And that also in turn will make them, when we start to talk about that, they start feeling guilty about that. And so then you'll feel this overwhelming in your heart of guilt, but it's not you. You're sensing them in your realm all around you. But understand this. We are helping them. We're helping show them how to go home. We're also releasing them from any principality of any servitude that they may feel indentured to when somebody is wanting to do spellcast or craft. And like I said, there is older principalities and dominions that are in this realm that are, I have personally felt what I call dudamus power, kind of a weighty type of that will come down on us from some of these older ones that will have these other ones scramble and do these kinds of things. People would not cast spells or have these weird little things that they do if they weren't effective. And I'm not saying, that there's good and bad. What I'm saying is there's freedom and there's slavery. And when you are sending them into freedom, they're going to come to your light. As an empath, you are shining, you're glowing. Like I said, I talked to a gentleman earlier, and I've been talking to him for years, and I have sensed the empath in this individual. It's very strong, very strong. But a lot of times we feel that we're a depressive person, but it's not us. We're amplified whatever's going on in us by the earthbound spirits that are around us. If we're going through, like, I had a loss, I was grieving, of course, earthbound spirits that are vibrating at that type of frequency are going to be drawn towards somebody that is sad like that. Okay, because like attracts like, and then they feed off it and makes the dynamic worse. Um, in the meantime, you feel heavier, but it's not you. Your light's on. You've got your empath going on. You can sense what's going on around you. They see that. They see the connection that you have, and they hang around your area and your vicinity because they can hear you talk. And by your talking, you can relieve them, and then they can let go and lighten up and go home. That's the whole objective here, is for them to go home. Now, some of these principalities, by doing quantum healing, I have come across some what I would call, which my friend, my very dear friend that I'm speaking about, was talking about old souls. Well, I'm talking about an old earthbound soul that has become a principality that has gathers up energy and also sends these others out to work, or to try to get their liberation, where they can't liberate, okay, because they're an earthbound spirit too. But if we go back to let's say, okay, someone will call it a demon. Okay, oh, I've conjured a demon. All right, and this principality is going to grant me X, Y, and Z. Okay, so this guy may have been around for 1,000 years, because he can't figure out how to get home. In the meantime, the newer ones don't understand, or they're scared, and so they take them into subjective, and then they're out carrying out this will for whatever these beings that will talk to them and command them around using this type of craft. So, and it usually is a lower form of magic. It is a magic that deals with emotion, or deals with like revenge, or somebody hurts you, your heart's broken, and you want something to happen, and then you got these ones that feel guilty already and miss the window, and so they're out doing this bidding. So I just said, because it came across about witchcraft and bondage. Why are you allowing yourself to be subjected to somebody else's whim and command? Are they feeding you energy, or are you listening to them and going over and hitting a target and stealing energy from the target? What's the benefit there? Is it getting you closer to home? How do you feel about yourself? Sometimes if we just speak out loud, some things that help them let go, then all of a sudden they let go and they go home. And once they go home, they're back getting all of the energy from the same place we do while we are a living being. Let me check and see, because I did ask my friend if he wanted to come on and chat on this topic, because he's been going through this stuff for years. And it's just so fascinating that it's all kind of coming together, and I'm able to make sense of it so we can start relieving. And I can tell you that my area is cleared substantially lightened up energy. But while we are a living being, we're very powerful in that regard too, because we have everything functioning, and we are a self-contained unit. We make our own energy, and we have a dynamic about us. We're a very powerful force. And so that is another thing that is attractive to these others, that they're kind of wayward. So if we learn how to talk in love, and they start to understand that there is no judgment, but if they dwindle here, or stay too long and stay stagnant, they will eventually run out of energy. And with their energy runs out, they go and they feed off of people. But if there's nothing to feed off of, what happens to them? I would rather they go ahead and go home rather than go into extinction. That would be an extinction type event if somebody is lingering about and they're low on energy, what they have nothing to feed off of, and what's going to happen to them. They'll eventually disappear. So it's better if we are feeling the dynamics, amplified emotions. Let's say, or like I said, all of a sudden you feel like, oh, like I'm getting a psychic attack, or a acute headache, or you might feel injuries that they may have suffered, when at their time of passing, that you are in their vicinity and you can hear them. They don't need to jump in us. Okay. Now I have set my boundaries. That's another thing. We need to set our boundaries. I've said, look, back off, because I can't help you if you're pummeling me and keeping me, spinning around. I can't help you go home if I'm feeling everything and everybody's jumping on at once. But I can, if you back the heck off, I can still sense you and hear you and help. And then help comes, and then they are able then to put down. And it has to do with, they have to be able to forgive themselves. They have to be able to let go. And there has to be no fear. And once they realize that the creator there's no hell, come on, there isn't, and that there's no condemnation. Those are lower earth realm emotions. And this is how you can discern where you're getting your messages from. And this is why I kind of shut up for a while, because something odd happened, and I got pummeled. But I knew that the messages were mixed. And if they're mixed, then something's going on that I need to learn about. So I'll understand it, so that way I can do a better job of helping those that need help. And that's what we're doing, you guys, as we're walking through this path. We are helping even the unseen go home. And a lot of us don't even realize it. Empath opens up in you. You awaken to it. You start feeling and sensing things. I thought I was sensing just the other living people around me. I never gave a thought to the spirit side of it, or earthbound spirits, or even being possessed. And possession takes place more often than you guys realize. It's common. It's not an uncommon phenomena. It's actually very common. A lot of people that have chronic afflictions and things like of that nature, more than likely, they used to call them generational curses. That, oh, this illness runs in my family, so I'm going to hand it to. Well, it may run in your family because maybe some of your family members are still hanging around, watching over their own family members, not on purpose, but afflicting the living without really understanding that is what they are doing. I'm speaking on this from a very odd, I mean, I don't know any other way of describing it. A very, very odd last 6 months of, like I said, injuries showing up and disappearing, illnesses, back pain, neck pain, broken collarbone, wrist, got a bump on my head, bruises across my legs, deep depression, then laughter. I mean, it was all over the freaking place. But the entire time before I got pummeled, I had already been connected to, we all have what we call a guardian angel. Some people call them fairies. We have help. And the stronger our connection is, then the better off that we are with helping understand what the heck is going on to us in realms that we can't see or understand. We're experiencing it. It's freaking real to us, but we don't understand it because, no, nobody told me what the heck. I sure the heck wasn't planning on getting tossed in the air, and I still don't know what to think of that. But after that, I was pummeled. And, she just said, they may have followed you back home. Okay. Why? Why did they follow me? Well, at least I can think more clearly now. It got to the point where they were talking so much, not with different voices. I don't hear different voices, but keeping my mind so busy that I couldn't even concentrate. I couldn't sit down and even read anything because my mind was, and then, like I said, I went up against a principality, and apparently I ticked it off, because it took issue with me, and I did have to get some assistance with that. But that would be what would be considered like an old soul that has been walking on the earth plane out of body for a very long period of time, and would have almost like underlings under it, that would be kind of tied up into witchcraft, or what they would call witchcraft. They say that there's white witches and black witches and this and that. Really, what it all boils down to is every single person, each of us, every living being is a very, very powerful, authoritative being. It's a matter of understanding it and standing in it. And when we have these acute symptoms that come and go, and they move about, all of a sudden you're super depressed, and it's like, you're so heavy, or you wake up and you just feel your power's just been drained from you. Just understand that what it is you have an earthbound spirit that is feeding off of your energy, but you can re-energize. You're still connected. You're still alive, but you can help them to go home by having them set down any guilt that they're feeling, set down any earthly concerns that they've got going on, and help light that way. And the light opens up, and they go straight through and home. Once they go through and go home, they can be sent back as a guardian angel with the source being attached back to source and not having to feed off of mankind anymore. It's so interesting because we've been going through this together. There's so many of us that are going through this walk, and we are stumbling around like almost in the dark, but we all kind of come to the same place at the same time, and then we understand what the heck is going on, and then we help each other work through what it is that we are coming up against, so we can move them home. The object is that everybody needs to go home at some point or another, and the more that we can help them, the better we're going to feel. Number one, we'll see that afflictions and depression and anger and jealousy and these emotions that will rise up that almost seem out of nowhere or exaggerated. Maybe we got our feelings hurt by a situation, but then all of a sudden it got amplified, and you're like, what the heck? That's not in my character to blow my top like that, but it happened. Well, it's because there was something else there. I was calling names. This was weird. I've never heard of Jasher before. A being showed up, and I said, Jasher, what are you doing here? I'm like, who the frick is Jasher? Anybody know who Jasher is? Please leave it in the comments or type it in there. I don't know who Jasher is. But a being showed up, and I said, Jasher, what are you doing here? Now, this being wasn't like the Earthbound Spirit. This being was wearing white. It wasn't a robe. It was like a white cotton shirt, white cottony, comfortable clothing, a gold with some gold. It had a vest in gold. And the being was very colorful and very vivid. And I was like, what in the heck? And I called it by name, and I'm like, how did I know your name? It was way très bizarre for me. And then after that, then more enlightenment came, and more that they started to go more home. The weight started coming off of me, and more and more started to uh, transmute and go home. Once they cross over, like I said, they are back connected, and they can come right back and they can watch over their family all they want. If that's what they're concerned about, is they're worried about their family and they're afraid if they go into that light, they're going to lose contact. They're wrong. What they're going to do is reconnect with where where we are connected to as a living being, and that's where they'll get their energy from, rather than having to feed off of the living. And then they can be a guardian angel or watch over their family, but they won't have those lower emotions. They won't have jealousy, anger, wrath, judgment, hellfire, brimstone. They won't have condemnation. And when we're getting our messages from the other side, if they contain things like that, that was how I was able to discern. What's my heart feel like? Is it warm and uplifting, or do I feel heavy and weighty? And am I getting drained of my energy? Am I tired? Am I getting headaches? I was getting like sinus headaches. I was getting headaches here and on my head. I was feeling weight on my shoulders. My ears were ringing so loud. I was unable to sleep. And there was a period of time I didn't get any rest at all, because they don't sleep. And when they want your attention, or they think you can hear them, they will keep doing things to keep your attention. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. Now, don't fear them. There's nothing to fear. Even anything that they had during life, it went away immediately as soon as I stood in my authority and said, uh-uh, back off, back away. If you need assistance crossing over, okay, but don't encroach on my space, because I won't be able to help you, because you're clouding what the information is that I'm getting from up there to help you go home. And a lot of it, like I said, is through conditioning. They're worried that, they're whatever they've done in life, they're still feeling those earthly, lower vibrational type energies, and they are scared. And they missed that window for some reason or another, and you guys, it can happen for an assortment of reasons. Like I said, not seeing your body. You get thrown out and you can't see where your body is. You don't know that you passed. You might have missed your window. Or you're afraid that you're going to be judged, or, you've got other issues like that. So this is just, stuff to help us as light working empaths. I really don't like to use the word light workers, because, I still pray to Christ, to Jesus. And what I understand and what's being revealed is it's the Christ in us that is rising up, Christ consciousness. But it's not just consciousness, it's a Christ heart and consciousness. So, everybody has their flavor, and there's nothing wrong with anybody's different approach at it. I was raised Christian, and I've always loved Jesus. And, that's who I felt like I met when I was 15. He didn't look like the Jesus that is in the paintings and stuff. He looked different, but that was the feel that emanated, like agape, unconditional love was what I felt when I was talking to him when I was 15, when I got struck by that car. And I came back and I woke up in the intensive care. Anyways, so it doesn't, I don't think it matters on, if it's fairies or your guardian angels or Christ consciousness. We all have a divine self. Our divine self is within our physical body, having this experience, and it's merging up with higher levels of ourself that we are calling ascension. And as we're going through that, we're becoming acutely aware of other things and other situations that are going on around us. And with that, we need to, stay in tune with it, understand what's going on. So that way, you don't end up falling all over the place like I did. And you can learn how to work with the tools that we have to help to bring them to where they need to be, like unshackling them from any kind of servitude or any type of guilt or depression. Depression seems to be it's a very heavy feeling, and most of them, that's what I felt when they came close, was a very heavy heart type feeling. I don't know if it's from lack of nobody being able to see him and talk to him, or what happened, or guilt, or different scenario for each different one. But in the meantime, once you get them to set that stuff down and forgive, they go home. It just opens up. It's not like they have to go through a tunnel, or, we look at the world and there's planets out there in the sky. And it's not like that. It wasn't even like that when I was 15. I was above my body and I was looking at it, and all I did was roll over and I was somewhere else. I didn't travel through a tunnel. I mean, it's different for everybody. I understand that, but I didn't have that experience. I just turned and I was someplace else, and it was flipping awesome. So, if any of you guys, are going through any type of situations where you're getting headaches, stomach aches, um, anxiety, that's another big one. When they're in your presence, they're usually very anxious, and you will feel anxiety within your being because you're picking up on them. You're picking up on their what they're sending out, and so that way you can help them. You can help them to lose that anxiety, lose that fear, learn self-love, forgiveness, and let them know their family's going to be okay. And not only that, what I told them was, your family's going to be better than okay once you go and come back. Because just because you go doesn't mean that you will not come back. That it just means you're just going to be back connected with getting your energy back from the creator instead of the lower realms. Um, Nobody wants to hurt another divine being. Even they don't want to hurt another divine being. They're just confused. And when we understand that, then we're able to do something and work our way through it. Now, the principality, there are some out there, but you'll notice as you move along that you'll be granted more authority, and then you're going to be able to take that energy that they use, and you'll be able to take it away from them and lighten them up, and make them back away, especially if they're oppressing other that have passed over, that are earthbound, wanting to go home. Um, and I did face quite a few of those, and that wasn't fun. That part wasn't fun at all. But we are able. Remember, you have frequency in your voice. You've got a heartbeat. You've got your mind. You've got your spirit. You're empathic. You can feel what's going on around you. So if you've got all this going on, stand in your authority. You feel something bearing down on your shoulders, just take it. Say, you know what? I'm going to take that energy from you and I'm going to apply it to myself, because obviously it was taken either from me or from somebody else. And just take it back onto yourself and lighten them up. It's not to harm them. It's actually to help them, because they're just confused. They're just confused. And then, nobody wants to be feeling something bearing down on them. It's not a comfortable feeling. And so you have the authority to take that away. I'll get more into that later. This message really is about earthbound spirits, understanding them, understanding the different messages. Whether you're getting, sometimes people will think they're channeling a message, but they're getting it from an earthbound spirit, which would be just like me picking up the telephone and calling a friend, because they have no more information about anything else beyond this realm than we do because they're still here. What do they know? Nothing. They had not crossed over. So we always want to be reaching for the higher information, and they send out a different frequency. For me, I can hear the ears ringing and the different frequency pitches on angelics, what I call them, angelics, guides, higher self, rather than and earthbound spirits. And like I said, a lot of time earthbound spirits will come with heaviness, headaches, uh, draining of our energy, because they don't have any other resource to continue on. They feed off of us. It's almost like, where we probably get the word vampire from. But once they have forgiven everything and relieved themselves of any guilt and fear of the other side, they pop right through. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing because in the end, everybody is to go home and not have any fear or regret, because what is there to regret? We're here to have an expansion in our consciousness experience. And after we're done here, we return and then we move on with that experience expansion. So I hope that you guys got something from it. I'm going to keep this one kind of short. Let's see, where am I at? I am in StreamYard, because it's late, and I hope that this came out clear for you guys. Um, if you had any questions, my friend did not pop on with me, but he did say he was tired. Maybe I'll be able to get some of his expertise in this field. He's been dealing with it for quite a long time. He is a very strong empath. He also has what he calls the magic window, and he can see quite a lot of phenomena in the ether realm, and also sense what the energy is like on with his surroundings, even if he's home alone, because of his light. They're drawn to it. They're drawn into that light. So even if we think we're staying at home and we're by ourselves, or not, they still are around us. So just understand that. And also our living friends, that are our comrades in arms, when they're thinking about us and they're sending positive and love, we also receive that. That's how amazing you are. That's how powerful you are. And stand in that authority and make sure you shine your light bright. Like I said, if anybody has any questions about Earthbound Spirits, and I am not condemning or condoning witchcraft. I think everything that we do here is an energetic exchange of some kind or another. I'm mainly trying to address Earthbound Spirits, empaths that are dealing with those kind of entities and beings, and how we can get some relief ourselves by helping them cross over, and what is the dynamic in our environment and understanding that more. And because from my understanding, to even think that there is hellfire is in error. Now, where it says this in scripture that fear the one that can put you to death of the second death. Now, I do believe that there is a second death, and I believe it would be an earthbound spirit that has not crossed over, that will eventually will lose their energy and will, fizzle out. So we should always try to do our due diligence to have them let go, not leech onto us as food, but to have our guides, our guards, surrounding us at all time and helping them to go home, because everybody adds something wonderful. Even earthbound spirits, even if they're feeling guilty and weighty or wanting to watch over their family, does that make them bad? No, it just makes them confused. So And that's why I think a lot of them get drawn into the witchcraft type stuff, because then they're sent out and then they feel like they're doing a job for the living, and they go and feed off of that. So I've been working on trying to break those shackles of servitude off of them and telling them, forget that, set that down, go home, where you have unlimited resources at your disposal. Don't limit yourself, and don't be in servitude to mankind in that manner to do harm to another. We want to be doing good things to each other. We want to be loving each other. We want to be lifting each other up. And that goes for even earthbound spirits. They have the right, and they should all go home, because any bit of consciousness that is lost is our loss, because we're all in this together. Okay, that's all I had for tonight. I hope you guys got something from it. It's hard to talk about this stuff. It's just been, oh my God. Uh, there's so much more. I probably need to start taking some notes and writing down a lot of these different experiences. Just having an injury show up and then disappear, losing weight without going on a diet. That came from above by changing my perspective of food. They were able to give me the renewing of the mind. What is food? Food gives me energy, but it's not. I don't no longer believe that it's through the lips and to the hips. Since I stopped believing that, on the same sides I was when I was in my early 20s. How it happened, I don't know, but I plateaued off. I did get a little worried. I'm like, I'm losing a little bit too much weight, but it stopped. It plateaued off. Now, when you are troubled by anxious or earthbound spirits that may have had some kind of an addiction, whether it be drinking or whatever their addiction is, here's something to look for, you guys. You'll crave it. If you have an earthbound spirit that has not went home, that's a way you can discern whether it's your guardian, your fairies, your higher self, or if it's an earthbound spirit that is doing the jibber jabber to you. If you start to crave things that you wouldn't normally, I was teasing my husband and said, if you became an earthbound spirit, somebody like my mother has never touched cigarettes and she's allergic to them. So if you came near her, she'd start chain smoking and she wouldn't understand why. You'll have urges like that are not in your character. And that's another way to discern. And a strong empath, like the gentleman I was talking to earlier, will feel these urges and feel. I know he feels their emotions intensely. So I know I can feel their urges from life. Even food I don't like. I'll be like, oh, I'm craving that. And I'm like, but wait, I don't like that. So I don't get it. But I mean, I was eating a freaking half-gallon of ice cream at a time. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Knock it off. But I didn't gain any weight from it because I had that revelation. But which one of you guys is wanting all this flipping ice cream? It was a lighter-hearted spirit. Somebody just checking on earthbound, of course, but checking on family because they care about family. But we do deal with sometimes it could be a suicide or an incident and heavy depression. That's where you'll feel the weight on your shoulder, a heavy heart. You'll zap it, you just drain. And so when you start to understand what the dynamic is that's emanating in the empath field that you're picking up, your guides will help bring them home, and they'll listen to you talk. And when you bring them to peace, they'll let go and they'll go home. And then they can come back, of course, but they'll come back as something different rather than, being anchored down. They're weighty feeling, they're heavy feeling. So just understand this, you guys. We are all doing this already. And I can feel the difference already in the airwaves that is getting lighter. So many have been listening to so many of us. and have been moving on. So if you've been feeling these type of things go on in your arena, understand what the dynamic is, and maybe you're there, they're attracted to you because you're going to help them. You are the help that they're looking for, that they need, to bring everybody home. And then, like I said, I'll do a different video when we come up against, like, I would call them, they're still lower atmosphere type of uh, energy forces, but they'd be like principalities and dominion type things that we may encounter that have a little bit more teeth to them. But that doesn't mean that they too need to go home. They need to let go. They just been around for a long time. And in quantum healing, I've seen a few of these come through and try and portray being somebody's higher self, or try to say that they are a past life of this individual, when I can see clearly that no, you're not. You have no relation at all. Some of us do have past lives. It's because we left and then we volunteered and we came back in, not that we went through a tunnel and came back in and got recycled. Does that make sense? I hope so. Oh my gosh, I only got 2 people watching. Everybody left. Ah. Hey guys. Oh, I didn't say hi to everybody. Let me say hi real quick. Lee and Peroxide Oxide and Flat Accord Music and Marianne Burke. Thank you guys for tuning in, and just realize what's going on in the ether around you. And remember, stand in your power. You have the power. You have the authority. You are the one in control. They're listening to you because you're able to assist them and get them home. So we'll talk about dominions and principalities on another one. And and about reincarnation and stuff like that, because that was brought up by my friend who's a very strong empath. And that's another topic. But usually if you're reincarnated, you went home and then you came back in. You're not earthbound and then recycled in that way. But these are just revelations that I have. I always say, share what we know and listen so we can grow. And always check with your own connection. Use discernment on no matter who you're listening to, because you are the authority. You are the one that that you're waiting on. It's all the power. Everything is inside of you. So always remember, share what you know and listen so you can grow. Peace. I'll talk to you soon.